Hi everybody, this is Hero back with another Axis and Allies 1942 video. This video I'd like to briefly go over some of the problems for UK in games where Germany wants to put some pressure through Sea Zone 5. I've been talking a lot about this, but I want to show the math so that you can understand some of the decisions being made and what sort of response UK will be required to purchase in order to protect England. So this is a slightly atypical beginning to the game in that Ukraine went badly for the Russians, but every once in a while you'll find as the Allies that you're in trouble early. And as Germany, we can punish this in a few ways. We can build tanks, which will get up to and apply pressure to Karelia much quicker. But one of the things I've been thinking through is how to build pressure in more directions than one. Land units, obviously, if we follow the normal script of how things go, with the UK cleaning up Sea Zone 7 and Sea Zone 5, with our battleship moving through the Transjordan to drop off troops and knocking out this destroyer, usually means that there's going to be very little in the way of naval combat or naval presence in the Atlantic for either the Allies or the Axis in the first number of rounds in the game. I'm like, well, that's not a problem, Hero. You just build those tanks and smash into Ukraine and Karelia and then run the Russians over before anything else can happen. And I'm like, well, that's one way to think about it. But another way to think about it is building a strategy that has a bit of a pincer or a multi-pronged attack. And that's what these three transports are here for. Typically, the Baltic states are a really awkward spot for troops to move through because it's the quickest way to move infantry up to Karelia, but at the same time it locks them out of Ukraine until they can get to West Russia. So this is the only major conduit that connects these two pieces together. So if you commit your troops to walking up to the Baltic states, they are then slow to get back through and defend if you need to on the Atlantic side, or they have to get up to Karelia in order to make a difference over here in Archangel. So there are a number of rounds behind in terms of movement. The three transports really solves this problem by allowing 6 troops to be immediately dumped off in Karelia, which puts enormous pressure on West Russia and forces the exchanges that Russia usually takes and the stacking that they do to be very much mitigated. Now, Sea Zone 5 can be stacked in a number of different ways. I've been talking about 3 cruisers, which help with bombardments into Karelia if you pivot away from England, help with bombardments onto the UK, and in general, later in the game, provide a naval force rather than an air force to support the defense of the Atlantic and shove back the US, should they choose to respond in that way. Because 3 cruisers stacked together is a little bit more formidable than having air power, which if you lose planes for the Axis for Germany, then the Allies are really happy with that. So they're not against losing some destroyers and a few other boats to planes because it severely reduces the defensive power on the mainland. So the aircraft carrier drop with a plane in 5 is, in my mind, one of the more defensive tracks early on that guarantees that you maintain these 3 transports and the pressure back and forth. But the 3 cruisers is a little more aggressive and has the long-term benefit of giving you sort of a splitting up of your air force pressure and your naval pressure. So, I mean, we can talk about both. I'll show you, I brought along the calculator here so you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to the attacks that are going on in the region. So in the original, you can expect to see the following troop formation in England at the time of your attack when you do it with your standard 3 cruiser fight. So this was all that England had on the island at the time, assuming the US bomber came over, for example. The calculation is overwhelming for the Axis. And you're saying to yourself, of course, Hero, there would be a response. We would build dudes. And part of my point here is forcing England to put troops on the capital really impedes their capacity to use those IPCs long term. You are kind of locking those IPCs into the island and they cannot easily get off of it until rounds perhaps 4 or 5. And part of the reason why, if you look at the battle that would occur to clear out that region by sending English fighters and a bomber to kill off the 3 cruisers and the 3 transports, is a little bit of an awkward attack. It's a 52.6% chance for one of your attacking planes to survive. There's a 32% chance for a cruiser to survive. These are not really great odds, because if all of the attacking planes are killed, those 3 transports still survive. Yes, maybe you can kill them with the Archangel fighter, but it's a huge commitment, because if you screw it up, like if you get bad rolls, then England is down 2 really significant defenders and 1 bomber that's at least another hit point on the island to fight against. So that earlier battle I just showed you becomes really difficult. Let me just show you, if you tried to attack and you killed a couple of the cruisers, so there's only 1 cruiser left for bombardment. If you assume you still get the 3 tanks and 3 infantry with the 5 fighters, but you've lost out on, maybe we bring that tank over, right? You've lost all your fighters and you only have the 1 US bomber left. (99.5% chance. How many additional IPCs do we have to devote to this? Let's put in 2 more guys, so 6 IPCs to try to shore this up. Still in the 93% chance. Let's put another 2 guys. So we've got 12 IPCs. 71% chance. Let's put, let's just stack it. So that's, we can build 8 guys, 8 times 3. So we have 2 guys already, so that's 10 dudes. Finally, okay, so what is the range? Is it building 6 dudes that gets us out of it? Okay, it looks like 6 additional infantry going on if we lose those fighters and that bomber trying to clear out the cruisers. That's what it will take. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. Having to spend all of those IPCs to defend England means that they are all landlocked. And unfortunately, Germany doesn't have to commit to the attack. So the Allies landlocking all of that material means that the battle in the Pacific is going to be a lot more difficult. So holding India becomes a problem. You also have this major conduit through to Karelia that can ferry troops. So all the Germans have to do is just drop a bunch of infantry in Germany, and immediately they're applying pressure to Karelia. Now, there's a different way to go about this. You could instead have purchased 1 extra fighter. So we're assuming we have 5 left. Remember, Ukraine's gone. We have the 1 cruiser, and we buy an aircraft carrier to put that in Sea Zone 5. And I just want you to see what the defensive posture of that approach looks like when we have 2 fighters, 1 cruiser, and 1 aircraft carrier hanging out in Sea Zone 5. So this is after Germany's first turn. They've dropped them. And this is what it looks like for those 3 planes on England to try and attack Sea Zone 5. Remember, the English have a number of goals on their first turn for clearing out naval powers. This battleship and transport would traditionally be in 17, dropping off in Transjordan, something like that. Or, I don't know, maybe they participated here to whack at Ukraine. But the point is, it wouldn't really be in scope for the English to attack these 2. So they wouldn't be so much a problem, but we would have usually a cruiser here on 7, and we want a fighter to go through 5 and then land in West Russia. Those are some of the goals that we usually see for the UK on turn 1 for their Air Force. But if you cannot challenge this at all, like it's categorical here if you look at the math, 89.7% chance. If you lose, again, all of that Air Force, you're in deep trouble and you have to stack England with a lot more IPCs. If you go back to what we might expect from this battle on England. You put your normal guys there. We bring that tank over, which again is wrapping up 14 IPCs. We're going to lose the transport, which is 8 IPCs. So maybe before we do that, we'll just put in the normal numbers, assuming we don't bring the tank over. And you can see here, if we go with the 6 attacking planes and the 1 cruiser bombardment, this is if we have the aircraft carrier for Germany. How many dudes do we have to stack up in order to avoid getting run over in England, but not bring the transport over? So let's put 4 extra guys. So we'll put 6 infantry. Still a little dicey, right? 43% chance you might actually take that. So we'll add 1 more to ensure it's fine. There, that's in range. So we have to spend 15 IPCs. That's half of our budget. And half of our budget, maybe a little less if we drop the 1 dude, stays here. If we go to purchasing units and we purchase those 15 infantry, I'll just take off the 1 window here so you can see it properly. Get our calculator out of the way. This is what we're left if we want to stack up on England without using this transport. And maybe you'd want to use it anyways, but again, you're going to lose it. What do we have left? Well, we can build 1 plane down here and a couple of guys. Maybe that seems like it's okay. Isn't Germany behind? This is okay. We split it up. We stack guys on here. We defend England, and then we drop them here in India. What's the problem here? Well, the problem is that Germany can just pivot and smash Karelia. Look at all of these troops that can be moved through this region. Norway, Finland, Karelia, the Baltic states, Germany, and Northwestern Europe are all connected to Sea Zone 5. Any number of these troops, even these 9 guys in Karelia, can participate going laterally into Northwestern Europe to defend. 1 movement. That's 1 troop movement down here to defend this coast. All of the troops that are built on Germany can immediately be shuttled up. So Germany gains what we think of as a tempo in chess by applying pressure in both directions. It forces England to respond by building stuff without negating the fact that it can immediately leverage troop movement to continue to apply pressure on Russia. I think that's a winning strategy for Germany. To wrestle back the tempo in the game forces all of the allies to abandon their strategy. Maybe they were going to try and kill Japan first. You really need to be leveraging a lot more fighter power to do that. So I wanted to bring this to your attention and get you to look at the math that's behind the Sea Zone 5 stuff and the strategy that you can use as the Axis. If you want the more sure defensive posture in Sea Zone 5, build a carrier and a fighter and land everything there. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll continue this series at another time. Have a good day.